So my name is Robert, and I'm a heroin addict, among other things. My clean date is 11/17/2014. I feel like I met a lot of different people in these programs, and they have, a lot of different stories, and mine is kind of different, just I guess, in that I came from a pretty good, childhood and upbringing. My parents got divorced kind of early on, but it wasn't a big deal. I always had, support and, people that loved me and a home. But as time went on, and I just always felt uncomfortable, being me. And it only increased as I got older, and kind of in middle school, I guess. Puberty hit, and you get the rest of your personality, or a lot of it. I got really uncomfortable interacting with other people. I had a lot of friends from different groups. I'd actually say acquaintances, because I didn't really feel like I belonged anywhere, even though I grew up, being supported and encouraged. I just didn't feel it, I was at dis-ease all the time until the 4th of July. When I was 13, met some kids on the beach that I went to school with. Didn't really know very well, but they had some beer. I bought some from them, and after I had a couple, they were all my best friends. And I was shouting, "Happy Birthday, America," and I just felt at ease. None of that was like me, but I just felt, I was like, oh, this is what I have been waiting for all this time. And so I chased it every chance I got, which wasn't much at first, but every opportunity I had, I got it, and would steal liquor and things from my grandparents wherever I could. And remember one of the first significant moments, I stole this liquor. I was drinking it with my friends, and I've always gone after it. And this was the first time I actually had a decent amount of booze at my disposal, and we all got alcohol poisoning and almost died. Fortunately, one of my friend's mom was a nurse, and basically pulled vomit out of one of my friend's throats and resuscitated him. And the next day, I felt like shit, but I was ready to do it again. I didn't even question it, just like, that was rough. I didn't even think I drank too much, really. It was just like, maybe that was that liquor specifically, and I needed to do something else. As time went on, I just continued to find that I was able to relate to people when I was drinking, and then eventually started smoking pot. Found that it just made me more comfortable. And finally, it's kind of jumping around a little bit, around 17, I got my first girlfriend. Found this girl that I just loved. And it was awkward, because I got a lot of love in my heart, and I feel that's true. A lot of people say addicts are more sensitive and feel deeper than other people. And that's part of our disease, is that's a hard thing to live with. But I finally found a place where I could put it that made me feel like better than I did with drugs, and I spent this time with this person, and it was beautiful for a long time. But of course, we were still kids, and we still drank and used, and we were together for a year. And I still, chose time after time as, alcohol, and eventually started doing cocaine and smoking pot over her. And there were, by this point, many times when I was using with my friends or drinking more specifically, and people would say, there's something different about you and the way you do what you do. You need to reel it back. I remember one conversation with my girlfriend when she's like, no, okay, so we're going to go to this party. I think I can drink, but I just really would appreciate it if you wouldn't. And of course, my response was absolutely not. Even when it came face to face with, well, if you really loved me, you're always mean to me and horrible when you go too far, and you go too far every time. And I just shook it off and did it anyways. And I hurt her a lot. Another moment in there when I found out or just further proof that I was an addict. The first time I did cocaine, we had done it, and I was nervous at first, but then we did it, and I was all excited. And then the first time, I was on my hands and knees by the end of it, crawling around on the floor, looking for just a little bit more of that dust that we had dropped in front of all these people. Just total, disgrace to myself. Didn't even care. It was just, no, there's more. It's like I was running a race with no finish line. I just always wanted more. And then eventually, it was too much for my girlfriend, and she broke up with me around the time I got my second DUI. I guess I should have said I got one before that, but when I'd use and drink, I just push it. So I was always motivated to drive 100% whenever I got it in me. Just cause the most destruction I could. And I got my second DUI after having my license back from my first DUI for like a week. And went through treatment again. Stayed drunk in treatment the whole time, back before the week-long alcohol test they have now, and just bullshitted my way through all of it. Because I also found I was pretty good at manipulating people, and I learned after being, through treatment one time, all the things to say to get through the motions and to get what I wanted. I mean, I learned that with people too. I learned how to get money from my family and, argue my way out of something with my girlfriend. And when we broke up, it somehow got even worse, my drinking, and man, I just pushed it, and I kept pushing all my friends away more and more. And then I turned 21, and it was really on. And I met a friend who offered me heroin for the first time, and I was a little intimidated at first, but I remember when I took it, I was like, man, this is kind of what I was looking for the whole time. It rather than, because as my drinking went on, it just closer and closer to the end of the night, I was just an emotional wreck and would be crying and just broken, stopped working, and heroin filled that void. It got better, but I still was only sporadic with it, and so I basically just stayed a drunk, smoking marijuana, doing coke, and occasionally doing heroin, because I still didn't have all the connections to get it all the time, and I was so familiar with drinking, I just did it. And then a few more years went by, I got a decent job, I sort of had my act together, on the front, so that I could, entertain people, and I was working out and feeling all right. And then I got a phone call that this is one of my friends, a friend of my ex-girlfriend, who said she'd killed herself. And I was just devastated. We didn't talk as much anymore, but there still was a very strong connection, and it's just like that person was gone, and I I didn't even process it for a while. I just continued doing what I was doing, and when holding on to that, I went to her wake maybe a week after I found out, and got drunk. Was feeling good. Oh yeah, no, it's just a thing that happens, this and that. And then right when they started talking about it, I just started bawling out of control, harder than I've ever cried in my life. And I blacked out and ended up having to get taken home, missed work that night. And the next day I decided it was enough, and I remembered that, heroin actually took away all the feelings that I couldn't suppress anymore with alcohol. And so I reached out, and I eventually got, a shitty connection. I don't know if anyone else, their first connect ripped them off constantly, and you just made peace with it because this is the only place I could get it. And it just started out, just didn't take much. I could make a little bit last a little while, and, still had all my sort of normal friends, and I just was using a little bit more and more, and getting more connections and spending more time in really sketchy places with doing sketchy things. And eventually I had to move out of the house that I was living in at the time, because everyone I was living with, the jig was up. They had all known now for a while. And they're like, we know what you're doing, and we can't have that around anymore. So I moved out and away from all my friends there, and basically went full force into it. By this time I had started doing meth too, and very quickly just became a daily heroin and meth user while still going to work and supporting my habit, and at first I was out of money, but I'd work 5 days, and then I got paid in cash. I'd be out of money by the end of the week, but then in short order I owed money at the beginning of the week after working, and staying up for days at a time. The shadows started creeping, and little by little it started to show at work more and more, and I got fired. And then at that point I had to start stealing a lot more to support my habit, because I was just easily over a gram a day, and a gram or so of meth, just getting after it, but I felt good, right? I thought things were going all right. I had lost my job, but I still felt like I had it figured out, My family, when my mom would call me crying, worrying about me, my brothers and sisters wouldn't even look at me. All my old friends were done. All I had were, hotel rooms and dealers. And I felt good. I thought I was doing things right. And then I got, after years of doing this and multiple close calls, I got pulled over after just scoring on Lancaster, and the cop, in short order, I thought I had a thing going and I was going to get away clear and simple. I had packed, because I smoked heroin and drove all the time, because that's what you do. Mm-hmm. You can't stop, got to keep it going in. I got out of the car to try to distract, because one guy's looking around with a flashlight, and my hooter fell out on the ground, and the guy's cop light just goes straight to it. What's that? There's fuck. So I immediately changed tactics, which is something I'd learned, and I was like, oh, the jig is up. I'll give it all to you. And they ended up letting me off, and letting someone come pick me up, giving me a ticket for it. And I immediately, with the last money I had, I got picked up by a bartender chick I knew at the time, went straight over to the dude's house, got some more shit with the last money I had to my name. No money for gas, no car to my name anymore. And all I wanted to do was score to make it go away. And I did, you know, and they said I'm gonna have to get drug court and all this shit. And it was months off. So I just kept doing, you know, and a lot of it's a blur. I don't even remember how I continued, but I know I did. I just latched on to people that I didn't even like because I could steal drugs from them or get drugs. I'm the guy, you know, you always hear the joke about people that will steal your bag and help you look for it. Won't do that anymore, but I did a lot of that. And, you know, when it rains, it pours. About a month later, I'd managed to get, you know, I was driving for this other guy who was just getting drugs, and I'd just help him move around, and I'd been up for a few days and got pulled over with some shit, and the cop got up to the window. I just immediately started talking a million miles an hour about all this stuff. He's like, whoa, slow down there, buddy. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be all right, but you're not going to get to the end of this any faster that way. And I just fucking, again, you know, 1 month after the first time. So now I got 2 pending felony drug charges. And it's around this time that my mom was like, we know what's going on. I see that you're out of options. We want you to go to rehab. And I was like, okay. Not because I thought I was going to get clean, but I thought that if I went to rehab, I could get my parents' trust back. They would write me back into the money supply, and it would look good to drug court, and I could maybe somehow surpass the whole thing with just doing it all beforehand. I'd been to meetings, you know, I remember I went to one meeting before high with a friend of mine who's a serious alcoholic, and I sat there and I thought, this is without a doubt the dumbest shit I have ever been to. You know, couldn't associate just a bunch of old people talking about their diseases and all. I was like, God, you guys are pathetic. Let's get this together. I'm a man who's got it together. Need to switch drugs or something. But I agreed to go to treatment. And the whole time, you know, all the counselors were like, why are you laughing at all this shit? You know, it's not funny. That's just my technique. I don't know if anybody else laughs in the face of tragedy just to cover up, you know, all the ugly shit you feel inside. But that's something you get really good at when 100% of your life is ugly shit to get what you need. But again, I managed to say enough of the right words to get through it and get out. And I had sort of agreed to do it in my head. When I got home, first day home, my mom gave me some money for some food. I fucking rode my bike from the top of the hill over here by Day Night Donuts to Walmart out on Turner Road and met up with dude in a car with no interior, you know, just to spend my last and only $20 to get another bag, you know. And my thought this time was, well, I've detoxed for 30 days, so now I can just keep it at a low level and not get physically addicted again. But I mean, I was already mentally addicted. You know, I wanted it and I needed it. And I didn't get any healing. And it just got worse, you know, all the way until I went into drug court. My use basically doubled, tripled. And I spent 100% of my time in hotel rooms with people, helping shit get done, doing what I had to do to get, you know, what I needed, until I finally, and again, I thought it was working. I'd come home picked out occasionally, and my mom would cry. I'm like, no, Mom, it's fine. Everything's good. You know, her guns are missing, her money's missing, her wallet's gone, all this shit. No, it's fine. None of it's my fault. I'm just surviving, you know? And when I got into drug court, I thought I was going to get through it. It was the best thing that ever happened to me to precede this. I got in there and I thought I was just going to work the system again. And I showed up just checking it out I got to the, the first meeting you have, not open house or whatever it is. I thought it was a spun and loaded on heroin. Thought it was at the municipal court place, parked, found out it wasn't there. I had, 5-10 minutes to be there because I keep a very tight schedule. That's the way I operate. And found out, so I thought it'd be a better idea just to run across to the middle downtown courthouse. Made it there, pouring sweat, eyes like saucers, and was insistent on telling these people that I was clean and everything was going to be good. And they're just like, all right. I'm amazed they didn't arrest me that day. But they did after being in court 2 times. I lied to the judge about where I'd done, whatever. And again, in my head, this fucking guy just has it out for me, right? He doesn't know what I have to do. He doesn't know what I've got. And they locked me up. And that still didn't stop it. Only time it stopped is drug court makes you check in with, like, at the beginning, like 4 different legal and counseling outfits once a week. And it got to the point where I was ready to be honest, at least, about what I was doing. Because I saw other people in drug court that were being honest and sliding by on some shit, because they let you do that at first, basically, as long as you're honest. And when I was explaining what my life was like to these people and seeing their reactions to it, and I had like just a couple days clean, it was the first time I was like, wow, maybe my life isn't as together as I thought it was. Here I am after being in jail, people crying, hurting everyone. And this is the first time I'm like, wow, I guess my life isn't working. And I decided one day after a PO appointment, after seeing that look again, I was going to give it a try. And I was going to not use and do all the shit that they were going to say I had to do. And I did. From that point on, I went to, they had me on 14 meetings a week in drug court at that point because all the shit I had stirred up. Double counseling appointments. I did all of it though. And slowly but surely, my life started to clean up on the outside. And I got a little bit of, just natural good feeling from all these things getting a little better. And I got hope from being in meetings and hearing people. And I feel like I associated with all these people, and everyone was like a sage of wisdom to me, and people were all infallible, and everyone, oh man, it's beautiful. And that went on for like 2 months. I got into an Oxford house. Everyone there's like a god of recovery. That went on for 2 months. I assumed that's what the pink cloud is that people talk about now. And I was like, wow, we're all just people and things are still fucked. And I'm left with that hopelessness and that uncomfortable feeling and, hating everyone and blaming everyone for everything that I had before I started using, and I didn't feel good anymore. I had a little bit of drive just to complete this thing that was laid out before me, task-oriented, but I didn't get any relief. I was fucking miserable completely again, maybe worse than ever. And I just went through the motions and kept doing what I was told. Just depression, so hard. Sleepless nights without drugs. That was a weird thing. until I eventually hooked up with this guy in my How You Live in men's group, another man, and started to go through the book because I thought, I've got nothing else. I'm either gonna start using again when I get done with this drug court shit, or something else has to work. Because using was still, I mean, I know it wasn't working now, but I also know that when I'm using, it feels like it's working. I'm not one of those people where it's like, oh, it's completely done working for me. I know I could go right back into that trap, you know, and anyone that says I could never use again, you know, for me, I was lying to myself if I said that. So anyways, I got together with this guy and started doing this, at the time, silly shit. Really, we're just reading this goofy book that was written 70 years ago and doing this introspective stuff, you know, but quickly I saw that it was getting to the real root of the problem and the real root of my disease, which is, you know, my selfishness and my fear of not being good enough. I'm always afraid to everyone, you know, that I'm just not good enough and I don't have what it takes to do any of these, you know, brilliant things that I want to do. But then as we dug into it and got to my truth, I saw that it was changeable. I could change it, but only if I saw it for what it was. You can't change something that you don't know what it is, you know? And my sponsor was talking about finding your truth frequently, you know, your bottom line, what the truth is. And I didn't really know what he was talking about until one of the later stages in drug court. People paid for me to go to Washington, D.C. for an Oxford convention. Crazy. Did not think that was going to happen, but it did. And I went, and I have there's a family friend that lives in Washington, D.C., and I love this guy. Hit him up, said I was going to be around. He's like, oh yeah, we'll come pick you up. We'll hang out. Came and got me. Met up with a couple of his friends, all normal people, right? By this time, I had realized that there are normal people that can have a good time with substances, and then there's me, right? And we went to, this was like, oh, we got this place. We went to this dance club bar, right? And I'm like, oh shit, this is a little crazy, but sober, can't do any of this stuff. It doesn't work for me anymore. I think it seems to be working for these people, you know, and it's just packed. Music's bumping, people are dancing, having a good time. And I'm looking at them all and growing and increasing resentment. I'm like, they're all having so much fun, and I would love to just go dance with these people and have fun, but that's not me. I'm this guy in the dance club, right? I'm up against the wall. Fuck that. And I eventually was like, all right, it's too much. I need to get a cab home, Pete. I'm going to take off. And in the cab on the way home, I just was so mad. I was like, why the fuck can't I just have a drink and like these people and just live a normal life like all of them? When it hit me, one of those moments of clarity where I was like, because I never had that, you know? When I take a drink, I'm not a super comfortable person in the bar dancing and having fun, right? I'm hating on myself more than ever, trying to get in fights, ruin people's nights, steal people's half-drunk drinks. You know, it's not pretty. It's not fun. And that was my truth, it's never been that way for me, and it never will be that way for me, because I am, what does it say in the book? Just spiritually and mentally different from my fellow man, you know? And once that clicked in, it wasn't as hard anymore to not use, because anytime I think, oh, wouldn't that be great? My truth is right there. I already know what it is. I've tried it up, down, sideways, backwards, shiny side up, down. tequila, everything, you know, I'm one of those people, definitely my drug and drink of choice is more. I don't give a fuck if you got, I'll do it. But it doesn't work. And then in doing the steps, I found that some of my depression and my anxiety began to subside, and I saw a way out that, you know, wasn't fast by any means. It's not immediate, but it is possible, and it's something that I can always work towards and grow from. And I mean, I can put it down for as long as I want, and as long as I don't pick up drugs again, even if I did probably, but as long as I don't pick up drugs again, I can pick that recovery shit up, and it just gets stronger and stronger. So I know for a fact that this is what I need to do for the rest of my life, not to get any life I had back, but to get a life worth living that I can be proud of and that I can enjoy, and to grow exponentially. Because one thing I also learned in all of that is that we're motivated people. I've done crazy things, basically cross continents, to get what I needed in my addiction, and then in drug court did all this shit, jumped over backwards, you know, went a total 180 from what I was doing to get this thing done. So there's no reason that I can't accomplish other great things, you know, but I can only do it if this is a key part of it. This is absolutely a cornerstone to it. So even though it doesn't always look pretty, and it doesn't happen in the time that you want it, always, it will happen. And you've knuckled down before. You just gotta get in these meetings, find someone that you can trust. Even if you can't find someone immediately, just get in the fucking book with someone that's been through it, and get into yourself, because you can't figure out where you're going until you know where you are. And it all those promises, you guys read the promises in here, right? Promises.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard those in treatment, I mean, they're just cool words. But now I see literally all of them coming true in my life. And it's not because I have everything. It's because my fear is dissipating as a result of doing this thing that we do in here. And that's basically all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Brendan.